Warning, the Renegade Recruiter is not for the soft, timid, or faint-hearted. If you need permission or seek approval from your mother, spouse, mates in the pub, or anyone else for that matter, this really isn't for you. If any of what you've heard puts you off in the slightest, I advise you not to listen any further. You've been warned. Prepare yourself for the no bullshit, zero fluff. Quick, dirty, and uncensored secrets for any serious recruitment, staffing, and search business owner who wants to earn more money with less work and fewer headaches, without having to kiss ass or bend over backwards to please anyone. He's a relentless and fearless renegade who will stop at nothing to reveal the harsh, unforgiving, and brutal truth about what it really takes to succeed in this business. He's a guy people love to hate and hate to love. It's your host, Terry Edwards. The Renegade Recruiter is unleashed.
Hello. This is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter, and welcome to another episode of Renegade Recruiter Unleashed. And today my guest is David Patterson. For those that don't know, David Patterson is an internationally recognized headhunter who's been sought after by the top organizations around the world to identify and recruit top talent. David's billed millions of dollars in fees, and he also trains recruiters. We're going to find out a bit more about that as we go along. David, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you, Terry. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, great. I've heard so much about it. I'm really looking forward to this interview. I've seen you on, I know you're very active on Facebook. So look, without further ado, just tell us who you are, David, and exactly what you do, please, buddy.
Sure, no problem at all. Well, I lead two lives, or two professional lives, rather. I'm a headhunter by trade. I've been in staffing for 20 years. I've run an independent practice for the last 14 years, and I recruit within the SAP field specifically.
And just tell us where you're based. Sorry, David. Can you just tell us where you're based as well, please?
Oh, sure. I am in sunny Tampa, Florida. Mm-hmm. And I run my practice, and then in addition, I also do provide some coaching as well, mainly geared towards individual recruiters that are trying to break free and create their own individual or independent recruiting practices.
Okay. So, David, the question I always ask people on our podcast, how did you get into recruitment or executive search in the first place?
Well, actually, I kind of fell ass backwards into it, to be quite candid with you. So after college, I started applying for jobs, and I applied for a job in the classifieds of a newspaper, so I'm showing my age here, for a company called Labor Ready. You won't see it on my LinkedIn profile because it's not really relevant to what I do, and I only worked there for a few months. But in essence, I staffed daily labor. So I was staffing basically homeless people on job sites, construction sites, landfills, daily work, daily pay. Did that for a few months. I quit, but then I got involved. Then I got hired by Kelly Services, a staff call center. Started kind of moving up in the ranks, and then from there, management recruiters. That's where I got involved in executive search, and I got my first taste of that sweet ambrosia that is search, and the kind of money that you can make, and also the impact you can have with high level individuals. And then from there, maybe a year and a half, 2 years after, about 2 years after I started that's when I went independent and then started recruiting in the SAP field. So that's kind of quick and dirty of how I got in.
Yeah. And look, we've talked a bit offline, so I know you've had some highs and some lows. Just talk us through some of the highs and lows that you've been through in your time in recruitment.
Sure. Well, when I started in executive search, I made my first placement my third week, so I thought I was the man. And then
I bet you thought it was easy as well, didn't you?
Yeah, that was easy. I got this shit down. And then 6 months later, I made my second placement. So, so there's that. But then, but my first year, my first full calendar year, rather, I ended up being the biggest biller in that office. And because I wasn't really that great, I just was a hard worker, and I wasn't afraid of the phone. And when all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. And I just was hammering all day long. And I did that. And so I started making my first good money in the industry and started really feeling good about myself professionally. And then, so that was my high. And then, my low was, well, when I started my independent practice, I went through a lot of hardships. We can talk about that if you want, but I went through a lot of hardships and starting my practice. But then I started building that up, and one of my biggest highs ever was when I made my very first placement as an independent recruiter, and that's when it validated me, and I really realized, holy shit, major companies will pay me, this little kid out of Tampa, without a big brand company name to work under. And then that's when I realized what was possible. And then from there, I grew a fairly decent sized firm, and doing great, bill of millions. The recession hit in 2009 time frame, and my company came crashing down. So that was another low, and I had to restart all over again and take those lessons and modify them, and I restarted. And over the last 7-8 years, I've had a great practice. I decided to ditch the old traditional model of get a big office and run a suite and hire a lot of consultants or recruiters working underneath you. And I decided to go for a virtual model because I want a lot more of that freedom and lifestyle. And I found that if I was managing an office full of recruiters, it really ties you in, and it's tough to really gain a lot of freedom. So I wanted that lifestyle, but I still wanted the income. And so I found a good medium balance in what I do now. But that's just a quick little run through of my highs and lows I've had.
David. Yeah, look, I'm going to ask you because I'm like this, David. You talked about growing your firm, and then the shit hit the fan, so to speak. What did you get your firm to in terms of sales or profit when it was at its peak?
We were doing just over 2 million, so around 2.3, 2.4.
Mm-hmm. At its peak, yeah. And then, as I say, the shit hit the fan. What was that? 2009.
2009, yep. And honestly, I was so focused on driving these guys and making sure they're on the phone and closing deals. I didn't see the writing on the wall, so I didn't see it coming. I just saw a slowdown in business. And for me, again, I was still in the mindset of if all you have is a hammer, everything's a nail. Well, shit, make more phone calls.
Yeah.
Get more phone time. That was my mantra. And by the time I realized what was really going on, it was really just too late. And in 2009 was when I had my liver shot, if you will, and so I hit kind of really rock bottom. That 2009. I had to go through a personal bankruptcy, business bankruptcy, divorce, lost the business, business partner left. Best year ever.
Wow, that is the shit hitting the fan, isn't it? Big time.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And I'm curious. Look, obviously, it's not a pleasant thing, but I also believe at the same time that those things aren't good. But what did you learn from that? What were the 3 key lessons you took from that experience?
Oh gosh, 3 key lessons. Well, let's see. Off the top of my head, I would say that fire cleanses, and it really does. Strips away all the bullshit you tell yourself, all the bullshit you think you think you know, but you don't really know. And so, for me, it really drove home the fact that I wanted to be independent. Okay, so I say this a lot in my training. If you've ever seen the movie Office Space, have you seen that movie Office Space?
I don't know it at all, actually. No.
Oh, okay, great movie, and it's about how inane corporate culture is, and how you can have just shitty bosses. Well, so there's this boss in Office Space called Bill Lumbergh that I always used to rail against. I hate guys like that, and I ended up becoming that. I left my firm to get my independence, my freedom, and I ended up becoming the manager that I hated. In an office environment where I had a 4,000 square foot office, I had to meet payroll. I was working the hardest out of my firm, and it's just I realized that I ended up trapping myself. And so my biggest lesson for me was that I had to create a business where I wasn't feeling like I was trapped anymore, trapped by bad employees, trapped by having to pay rent for a 4,000 square foot office, trapped by payroll, trapped by working long hours, and just being the boss that I hated for so many years. So that was my biggest lesson. And my second was that you can always start over. No matter how bad things get, it's never too late. It's never too early. I hear people making excuses all the time. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm too this. I'm too that. And I'd say, fuck you and your excuses. No one cares. The only person that cares about your excuses are you, right? And the world doesn't care. The world is full of opportunity, and you can either take it or you don't. And so that was probably my second lesson, is that it's never too late to start over, and it's never too late to learn new things and to kind of reinvent yourself. So that was my second lesson. And then really my third lesson, I would say, and it took me a while to really realize this, was the importance of a good brand, and not like your logo and your brochures, because no one really gives a shit about that. But I meant your personal, unique brand who makes you you, and be able to let that shine. Because in my prior business, I tried to be very corporate, and in fact, it was funny. I've got a bit of a sailor's mouth. Yet during my first business, I made it a point. No one can curse in the office. We had to wear shirts and ties, and that wasn't me. And what I found was that the more I was me, for one, you spend less mental energy being somebody that you're not, right? And it frees you up to do things that you want to do, and it frees you up to work with people that you want to work with. So I'd say overall, those are the three lessons, but that last lesson did take me a while to really, really, truly realize.
Awesome. I just want to recap on that because there's some really interesting things there. I'll start with the last one about your personal brand. And what I've got there, again, Dave, if I've got any of this wrong, either just let me know, that you passionately believe about in being authentic and being who you are. And it's funny, I coach recruitment and search firm owners on a daily basis. One of the things that we encourage them to do is to send out marketing messages. And it drives us up the wall, the amount of recruitment and search firm owners that want to write this corporate BS stuff in their messages and saying, well, I've got to be corporate. And our response is, that's bullshit. You've got to be honest, is what you've got to be. You haven't got to be, and you kind of hit the nail on the head, David. That's so true.
Well, 100%. And Terry, if you don't mind, I want to tell a quick analogy. And this is one that I tell the folks I work with all the time, and I think it really encapsulates what it means to be you and be a brand. So, they always say love and hate are two sides of the same coin, and that the opposite of that is really indifference. If you have people that love you, people that hate you, much rather have that than people being indifferent. So I always talk to people about everybody wants to be the Coca-Cola of their industry. So you go out and be independent, or even if you work for a firm, whatever. But you try to be this Mr. Corporate Coca-Cola of the industry, but you're never going to be that. And what happens is people try to be Coca-Cola. They're never going to be Coca-Cola. So they end up being RC Cola. And I always ask my people I work with, like, hey, how many of you guys drink RC Cola? No one raises their hands, right? Because so you end up being RC Cola, like a bland, generic version of these big corporate brands. So I always say, be like Not Your Father's Root Beer. Not Your Father's Root Beer was created by this company called Small Town Brewery in Wisconsin in 2015, and they were not on the map. They're not a major brewery at all, and they created this root beer that was highly alcoholic, right? It was 10 or 11%, so it'll get drunk. And, for one, not a lot of people like root beer. So for one, you're eliminating a huge part of the market. Secondly, though if you do like root beer, not everyone wants to get drunk while they drink a root beer. But the ones who loved it, and it flew off the shelves. In 10 months, they became the sixth largest craft beer brewery with only that one brand in 10 months. And the sixth largest in the world, and it put them on the map. So I always say, look, be who you are, and piss some people off, because the ones who love you will love you. Better to be that than try to be all things, all people, and be RC Cola. So that's kind of the analogy I always love to draw in terms of your brand, because I think people think about their brand as like their brochure and their logo and their website. Like that doesn't mean anything. It's just a price of admission. It's it's you. It's your personality. It's your own unique spin on things.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And we have an elite group, and we meet up every quarter in a lovely hotel in London. And to me, the ultimate compliment is when somebody new joins our elite, and we meet in the bar, and we have a few beers, and they say, "Do you know, Terry? You're just like your emails. You effing blind. You communicate exactly the way you do your emails, and that's the way it's got to be." So anybody that joins us, and I guess joins you, David, they like you for who you are. There is no BS there whatsoever. And I would argue and say, what you are, David, is you're honest. You're not hiding behind any corporate BS. This is who I am. You will either love me or you'll hate me. But hey, that's and you're okay with either of those, But what you don't want, which is absolutely right, you don't want that indifference.
You're right. You're right. It's the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure you've heard of that.
Yeah.
Tall poppy gets cut, and people are afraid of being the tall poppy. And I think look, and the people who truly succeed in this life, they're not afraid to be like you. I mean, you're not afraid to be the tall poppy.
Yeah.
Right. And there's people out there who don't like curse words, and well, I'm sorry, maybe then go use somebody else. But the ones who love me. And so, yeah, I really agree with that. Not being afraid to be the tall poppy, not being afraid to be not your father's root beer or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And the analogy I use, and again, you don't have to share your opinion, because I honestly don't care in terms of politics, but whatever your opinion, Donald Trump, he's done just that, and he doesn't sit there and think, wow, was it 51 million people didn't vote for me? I better not say anything. He's thinking,
very true.
I couldn't give a shit. This is what I believe. That's what I'm going to say. Now, regardless of your political opinion, you can't argue with that guy. There is no bullshit there. Whatever your political opinion, he's speaking as he finds. It's absolutely
100%.
Great. Yeah,
100%. Yep, I agree.
Excellent.
I agree.
And the other thing, the lesson you learned, you said, I really struck a chord. You can always start over again. In terms of the lesson that you learned, when did you come to that conclusion? Was it when you were going through the crap, or when you sort of sat there and look, I'm not saying that you did this, but by the way, I would have done this. I would have cried on my beer for a few nights to come to terms with things.
It took me a while. You know what it was? Candidly, was I was that happened, and I went through quite a messy divorce at the same time, and then I considered, well, what it is? I got disillusioned with the dreams for my own business, being an entrepreneur. So it's like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go back to work for a firm, and I'll just bill, and I'll get my commissions, and I'll be happy, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. And it almost made me physically sick to my stomach, thinking that, it was admitting defeat. And as I like to say, was I had that poem go, rage against the dying of the light. I wanted to rage, and I wanted to put my middle fingers up in the air and say, just screw you, world. I'm going to prove myself, and I'm going to make this happen. And so I restarted, and I just decided to do it and just say, damn the torpedoes, and let's move forward. And maybe I don't learn from my lessons, but I do think I do, right? There were a lot of people who said, don't do that. Like, don't start over. You learn your lessons. I'm like, no, I am learning my lessons. I'm doing it the right way now. And so I think that people feel defeated, and you're going to go through that. You are going to go through that, and you're going to give up on your dreams because you're going to go for safety. But in reality, look, it takes years to become an overnight success, and people go through failure. Yeah, they go through failure, and they get knocked down every single time. And then once you really truly succeed, or once you pick themselves back up and believe in their heart that they have a gift to give the world. And if they don't give that gift to the world, then they are doing the world a disservice. And I don't want to do that, right? So we all have gifts that we need to give to the world, and you can't let those setbacks keep you from giving your gift, whatever that gift is.
Oh, that's awesome, David. Really inspirational. Look, David, as people are listening to this right now, there's some people listening to this right now, and they're on their knees. They've just been kicked between the legs and just punched in the nose, and they're thinking, it doesn't get any worse than this. What would you say to those guys that are in that position right now, thinking, fuck, what am I going to do now? How am I going to pay the tax bill? How am I going to pay the payroll? What would you say to those guys to pick those guys up?
Well, you know what? I mean, look, at the end of the day, I do see in the sense that maybe doing things the way you've always been doing it, maybe that's not the right thing. But you can always try things at different angles, try new things, try new strategies. So obviously, learn from others. I mean, you've got some great programs, but they can learn from you, learn from other people, but learn new different ways to do things. Don't give up on your dreams. I mean, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, I guess is the term, whatever. But don't give up on the dream, right? Just maybe do it in a different way, and find different ways to go around. But don't give in to the temptation just to say, fuck it, I'm going to go back and work in a 9-to-5 corporate job and that's safety, because it's not really safety, right? Because you can get laid off anytime anyway, so it doesn't really matter. It's the reason. And on a side note, it's weird. I get people that think, okay, I want to go independent, but look, what if I don't close the deal within 3 months? I'll have no cash. Okay, go get a job at a firm and work on a draw, and you don't make your first placement in 3 months. What's going to happen? You're going to get fired. What's the difference? The only difference is you're getting paid less at the firm you're working for.
Yeah.
So, but it's that so-called security, But anyway, back to the question. Yeah, I would say you pick yourself up, but just find maybe a different angle. Learn. Spend money on learning if you can. Learn any way you can, and just find a different angle to attack. But always attack.
Awesome. That's absolutely inspirational. So, in total, David, how many years have you been in the industry?
Well, I'd say in terms of total staffing, I think 20 or so. In terms of executive search, 16. And then within my own industry, SAP, 14. Okay.
So, in that time, what have you seen as being the biggest changes in the industry, in your opinion?
The ease of entry. Executive search has always been, or has always had very low barriers of entry. But now, with the fact that you can go get an ATS system for $50 a month, super cheap with all the bells and whistles, and you can get great WordPress website for really cheap. You don't have to spend thousands on it anymore like you used to, and great email autoresponders and LinkedIn, which is basically free money if you know how to use it. And so you get all these different things. It's so easy for people to go. It's a reason why there's so many small businesses run by millennials that you get people that are selling, selling socks out of their bedroom, as the next big thing, whatever it is. But it's so easy to start a small business with the internet and just, it's so easy. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is that when I started, we didn't have that. And it really hindered my growth. I think initially I had to figure it out, and now all that shit's figured out for you.
Yeah,
it's just people need to make the jump, and I think people don't realize that. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then I'd say the other thing that I've seen a lot as well is I've seen the rise of body shop recruiters. There are the bad recruiters that give our industry a bad name, especially in IT. I don't know how it is in other industries, but for my industry, so many recruiters that grab resumes and just throw them at clients without even talking to the candidates, or if they want to tag them first, right? And the industry is overrun with people like that, which I think makes it better for us good recruiters, because now if we can position ourselves as the antithesis of that, right, and rail against that on the sides of our clients, I think it really positions us really well. So I think I see that as well. And I don't know how prevalent it is in other industries, but I know in my industry, at least in IT, it's so many body shop recruiters out there.
You're listening to the Renegade Recruiter Unleashed podcast. For show notes, additional resources, and podcast updates, head over to www.therenegaderecruiter.com.
Yeah. Absolutely. And your search business, just tell me a bit about it. You said that you moved away from the traditional model to virtual. How exactly does that work, David?
Oh yeah, so we're going to have a home office and or sometimes a coffee shop, depending upon what's going on. And a lot of my marketing is really it's email based. I do some Facebook, I do some LinkedIn, etc. And then I'll make the occasional cold call here and there, but I really don't make many cold calls anymore. It's just if I happen to get a hot lead, hey, so and so has an implementation, call this guy. I'll call him, right? But I generate a lot of job orders, and some I don't take on, some I do. And then I've got a couple of virtual recruiters that I work with independently. So what happens is I do a lot of email recruiting, again, Facebook recruiting, et cetera. And for any overflow that I have that I can't handle, I've got a couple of virtual recruiters I can work with that get me candidates. So for me, it's relatively easy to scale up or scale down, as opposed to back in the day where I had a 4,000 square foot office. And look, if I had to scale down, it means I had an empty office, but I still had the office. If I want to scale up, well, there's a limit because I have a 5-year lease. And so there's a limit to how much I can grow. And then I found that, and also one of the biggest mistakes I made back then was thinking, okay, if I need to grow, I need to hire 5 recruiters. Right. And you don't really need to do that. Yes, it does work, but hiring 3 just to get 1, it's a big expense.
Yeah.
And you can scale up and down pretty easily through virtual assistants, through email marketing, through social media, through, so it's for me, it's just the flexibility and not having to commute, not having to put on a monkey suit every day, or the shirt and tie and the suit and tie or whatever. Not having to do that, having freedom. Like today, for example, I'm going to go pick up my daughter from school. And been probably going on a bike ride and then get back to work later. So having the flexibility and freedom for me has been a big plus.
Brilliant. So you've mentioned that several times: freedom, and independence. But I'm going to come back to just a few things that you said there that I know some people listening to this they find hard to believe. You use Facebook to get business, do you, David?
I do. Although Facebook ad costs are rising a little bit, I've noticed, but yes, I do that just to get in front of people, right? To build relevancy with them and top of mind presence. But yes, I do that because everybody's on Facebook. It's just that you can't target them. Like LinkedIn, you could target really easily because of job titles, and Facebook you really can't. But you can upload email lists to Facebook, right? So you've got your targeting right there, and just run video content to them or long form posts, but something to show your knowledge of the industry, something to eliminate their pain, right? I was talking about how just having a position open on a team isn't really the pain; it's just the problem. But the pain is the fact. Yeah, the pain is the fact that dealing with shitty recruiters who send them resumes look great on paper, but they interview poorly, right? So they know in the first 5 minutes, this candidate's not going to work out, but they've committed to a full hour of interview. Right, because they can't just kick them out. So there's that pain. There's the pain that they're overworked. Team members may leave because morale is slipping, because their team is over, because they're short staffed, or they're not making their bonus because they're going to miss their sales quota. All that's the pain. So if you can push out content revealing the pain, you get them really thinking about it, and then you start pushing out relevant content that kind of shows them a little bit of a solution. One of the just to give credit where credit's due, one of the areas I learned some stuff from you. I also learned some stuff from a great guy that has great content as far as how to build relevancy, is Scott Olford. So I learned a lot from him as well. So I've tried to take all these things from different people and just put my own spin on it and apply it in my own business. But the great thing is, it's helped me to eliminate having to slog through cold calls to get business, which is pretty cool. Because remember, I was the guy that was my own. That used to be my only skill.
Yeah.
Was that right?
Yeah. It's great hearing this what you're saying here, because so many people listening to this aren't aware that Facebook is a great source for generating leads. And you've made some really good points, and I hope as you're listening to this, you're making note, is that your potential clients don't want recruitment. What they want is a solution that the recruitment provides to their problem. So you calling somebody and telling them what you're a great recruiter are, calling a complete stranger and literally begging for the business. That's why it's becoming more and more difficult for that to work. But using social media platforms such as Facebook, you mentioned LinkedIn. Some of our clients have great success on LinkedIn, Facebook, and so on, and other social media platforms to literally solve their problem and start the relationship with them. You share some real gems that, and your
thank you,
yeah, that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you've no idea, David. I talk to recruitment and search for managers every day, and they say things like, the only way to grow your business is through cold calling. And I say, is that working? Well, no, it's becoming more and more difficult. Well, stop frigging doing it then. Stop begging for business and do other things. That's absolutely
yeah. Well, but now the one caveat I have, and I know, and I've got a lot of training to Terry. I know, you have your opinion on cold calls, and I really agree for the most part. But I do have one thing to say about cold calls, and I say this sometimes, that cold calling can be a great way to find your voice or gain that confidence. It is ineffective, but it's almost kind of like a trial by fire, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not that you have to do it, but what I found was that so one of the big problems I see with recruiters, let's say, who do get a lot of inbound leads, what happens is that oftentimes when they get on the phone, they're unpracticed, or they don't present well, or they kind of lack that core confidence. So what I always say is that a couple different ways to get around that, to really truly take advantage of all the leads you got coming in, because you can get a lot of leads coming in, but if you can't convert them, well, it doesn't really matter. So cold call, and that'll kind of trial by fire, and you kind of gain some of that core confidence on the phone. Or another way is you can take a deliberate practice. So I always liken it to Tom Brady and the Patriots. He's not the most physically gifted in terms of other quarterbacks, but he's but you can't deny he's the best of all time, if not one of the best. And one of the reasons he is because it takes a deliberate practice, meaning, he's throwing the football 1,000 times a week, whatever, but he's also playing scrimmage games. And so I think for recruiters, if you're on a phone call and you got a lead coming in and have an objection of some kind, if you've never practiced that in a live environment, right, then you're going to fall flat. You're not going to have the confidence. But if maybe an hour every day you get a buddy and you're like, okay, I'm going to call you and you're going to throw anything at me, just throw anything, and just practice it on a daily basis. When you do get on the phone with leads, you have a lot more confidence.
That's right. I agree 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is that practice, because very few people are naturally good at it. And it does take that practice, and there's some sales scripts that you can use that just work, that just kick ass, quite frankly. So you're absolutely right. So I agree with it 100%. So that's your search business. Now tell us about your coaching business and exactly what you do, and who do you do it for, and what's the benefit they get. So 3 questions there. What exactly you do? Who's your target market? What benefit do they get from working with you?
Sure. Okay. As far as what I do in the coaching business itself, so it's relatively new, and to be candid, I've had the idea for a few years, but I'm just really now getting it going. But what I found was that I know there were a lot of folks out there that were like me, that they're big billers, or at least they're doing well, but they're paying the house, meaning the firm they work for, a big chunk of their billings, and maybe they're not getting enough services to warrant that. I get it if you have a large firm and you're getting tons of support and marketing support and yada yada. That's great. But what if you're not? Many small to mid-sized firms don't offer a lot, just the initial training. And so for me, I see a lot of people that are like me, that they want to go independent, but they're afraid, they don't know how, and that's really my market. And once in a while I work with also others that are already independent, but what I really love is working with the ones who are just going, right? Just, maybe they don't have the confidence that a big corporation or a big company would pay them a large fee to just them. And I say, no, they will. I mean, I was 27, no name out of Tampa, and Valero Energy was my very first placement as an independent. They paid me $28,500 for just me. That's what validated me. And I think people need that confidence that they don't need to work for Korn Ferry or Hydrogen Struggles or Russell Reynolds or Kforce or Adecco or whatever company you work for. You can really do it on your own. So that's my target market, really, in terms of. Sorry, I forget the other 2 questions. I got sidetracked.
That's all right. No, that's great. So your target market is recruitment to search guys who want to go independent. Yeah.
Yes.
And what is it that you do for them?
Oh, so I teach them how, right? Now, I do offer a couple different services. I teach them executive search. So let's say they work for Adecco or Manpower, and they're in staffing or they're in corporate HR, so they don't know how to work on the executive search side of things, right? So I can show them how to do that, how to get retained searches and all that. So that's that. But a lot of what I do as well is just that personal branding, how to go independent, how to set themselves up, how to launch it, how to figure out what your metrics should be, how to get your name out there. There's some automation stuff as well, social media. But in essence, that's what I want to show them, that it is possible, and that they are special, right? They can do it, right? They don't have to be a nameless drone in corporate America.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I really enjoy doing, is showing them the possibilities.
Excellent. And how long have you been doing this for, did you say, David?
About a year, or actually a bit less than a year. Yeah, I had the idea germinate a few years back. I remember specifically I think I was at a Hooters with a friend of mine, and I was telling him, I was like, man, this is the best business in the world. This is, for one, we get to build companies through talent. Secondly, we get to change our candidates' lives, hoping for the better. And we can make a killer living doing it, and you can do it off your kitchen table. I'm like, man, everybody's selling these businesses and how to make money online, how to do this, and most of it's bullshit. This is a real business that anybody, not anybody, but with the right training one can do, the right amount of hard work, you build an amazing business, or even a lifestyle business, or a digital nomad business. You can do it off your laptop in frickin' Thailand. So, there's all those possibilities. That was the kind of the germination of the idea, and I got excited about it. And it's taken me a while to really get it going, but that was really the germination of the idea.
Excellent. And in terms of when you're working with an independent guy, how do you deliver the training, David?
Well, so right now I have a do-it-yourself course that they can purchase, and it's in essence it's like a online training course. They can go watch videos, and there's some exercises and workbooks, etc. It's pretty lengthy. I'm still building the whole thing out, but right now I'm at about 30 hours of content. It's probably going to be 50 hours when it's all said and done. Pretty comprehensive. So I have that. And in the next few weeks, I'll be offering more one-on-one coaching as well. So if someone really wants to accelerate it and have a mentor that they can work with on a weekly basis, one-on-one, I'll be offering that as well. But that said, it's not a done-for-you service. I'm not going to go in and do your website. I'm not going to go in and do it because I'm not a web developer, right? That's not what I do. But from a higher level, I can provide the guidance to get you to where you need to be.
Excellent. And again, off air, you were talking about is it a free webinar that you do on a weekly basis?
I do. Yeah, right now it's weekly. I usually hold them on Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock.
Sorry, David, could you repeat that, please? When do you hold them?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So right now I'm holding them Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock every week, or most weeks. Okay. Sometimes I'll take a week off to recoup, because webinars actually can be quite draining when it's all said and done. I mean, by 10 you're done, then I've got to download the video, render it, upload it, and send it out to the list. And so it's kind of a drain at times. But again, most Wednesdays, 8 o'clock, I'll hold them.
Okay. Sorry, David. 8 o'clock, what time? Is that AM, PM, and what's your time?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's 8 p.m. Eastern time.
8 p.m. Eastern time. Excellent. And where can people go to access that, David?
Well, you can go to davidstephenpatterson.com, and Stephen is with a PH, not an F. So davidstephenpatterson.com, there's a link right there. Or you can join my Facebook group. It's called HERC, or in essence, it's the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter Community. I got a link there. Or they can go to sevenfigureheadhunter.com/webinar-registration. So lots of different ways to kind of come in. And to give you just a quick recap of the webinar, I mean, there's a lot of content. It's not just about my personal story, but it is my personal story. I want to give people the inspiration that, yes, they can do it, and that anyone can do it, even me. And I was really no one special. But I do give a lot of great content and advice in there on how you can start, how you can negotiate your way out of a non-compete, how you can brand yourself, and some marketing stuff in there as well. So, and there's probably a lot of great jokes. I like to think I'm a funny guy, but my girlfriend disagrees. And lots of Star Wars references, lots of movie references. So it's definitely my personality is infused into the webinar.
Brilliant, and that's absolutely free, David. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely free.
Excellent. 100%. And you mentioned the website Seven Figure. Can you just give us that web Seven Figure Headhunter again, please?
Sure.
If I remember correctly, it's the number 7, isn't it?
It is the number 7. Yes. So 7, sevenfigureheadhunter.com. In fact, if you just go to that site, you'll automatically go to my registration page. So they can just go to that site, and it'll all be taken care of right there.
Brilliant. And LinkedIn, I know you're a big fan of LinkedIn. In fact, you touched on something. I must come back to it. In fact, you touched on. I think you said something like LinkedIn was a great money making tool. I think you said something like that. What's that effect?
Oh yeah, it's basically like free money if you know how to use it. Unfortunately, on my homepage, I see post after post after post from candidates and hiring managers complaining about recruiters on LinkedIn. Now, we've all seen it because it's so noisy. But if you know how to separate yourself from the crowd and how to use LinkedIn effectively, it's a great money-making tool. It's just I think most recruiters just don't know how to use it effectively at all.
Good point. I'll bring the book on LinkedIn and how to use it. But from your point of view, what tips would you give to a recruiter on how to use LinkedIn effectively to get business or get candidates?
Oh, sure. Well, you know what? Create a killer profile. In fact, if anybody wants to go to my profile, you can see an example of a good one. That said, I'll be candid, it does double duty. So unfortunately, half my profile talks about my coaching, half talks about me as an SAP recruiter. So I'm at a disadvantage there, but you can still look at it to get some ideas on how to make it compelling, to see it flow. So that's the first one. Also provide some good content. In fact, create engaging content on LinkedIn. It's really, really key as well. This is not the place for it, but there's lots of articles online. You can find out how to create good, engaging content and engage with your audience. And then with regard to reaching out, one of the biggest things I see, and I freaking hate it, is the LinkedIn messages I get trying to sell their services right away, right? It's like I'm going to a bar and I'm asking every girl, hey, what's your number? What's your number? What's your number? What's your number? I might
Hang
get
on,
one.
David, stop. What? That doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work anymore?
No, are you saying that?
No, but it's like that, right? And like
seriously, yeah.
And so you might get one, so you got to warm them up. So warm them up through content. Get them engaged. That's really key. Get them to see you as an authority in your niche, and offer value, right? So it's the Gary Vaynerchuk method of jab, 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 hook, or your jab's your content, jab you're giving value, and then once you've given value, then you can ask. And so for me, I like to if I have 100 contacts on LinkedIn I want to market out to, let's say, I'm going to reach out to them and maybe ask them to connect and offer value, maybe send them an article that I think might be relevant to them. I'm not going to go in each profile and craft this customized LinkedIn message, because most of them won't get responded to anyway. It's a waste of time. But if you could provide some value over a few messages, and then you ask, hey, let's set up a quick meeting. We could talk about your career. Again, I'm giving value. We can, whatever, but we can talk to see if it might make sense to work together. And you will get appointments. You will get leads. And by using that method, you'll get a lot more conversations with high-level individuals that can help your business than if you were to just mass market, hey, got any needs? Hey, got any needs? Hey, or hey, what's your number? Hey, what's your number? Hey, what's your number? Right? Instead, as a guy, go work on yourself, look nice, make sure you smell good, have some good conversation, be interesting, and then ask for the number, right?
Yeah.
Key concept.
We joke about this all the time, but marketing is so much like dating and courting, and you've no idea. And one of the lines we often use is, would you do it on the first date? Don't answer that question, David, but the point I'm making is, would you?
Probably.
If they ask nicely. But what we mean is, would you go on a date and ask somebody to marry you on the first date? And if you did, she's going to think, this guy's weird. I've just met him. But that's as bad as, connecting with somebody on LinkedIn and saying, hey, can we meet for a coffee? It's just like, are you freaking kidding me?
Exactly. And what I always say is, look, if I get recruiters. I see recruiters that act high and mighty or think they're great salespeople because they got a 20% contingency job order from a client that sent the same job order to 5 other recruiters. And if you think you're a good salesperson, a good recruiter because you got that, you were just in the right place at the right time, and you didn't sell jack shit.
Yeah. That's the main thing. You've sold jack shit. Somebody just giving you a job order, probably to get rid of you, by the way. But yeah, here.
Exactly. Excuse my French.
Anybody listening to this podcast would know that you will never have to apologize for language, because
fair enough.
But you're absolutely right, David. I've really enjoyed it. I've got to ask you one more thing. You talked about LinkedIn. Can you just tell us how to spell your name? How to find you on LinkedIn? Is it David Patterson, or is it just David Patterson?
Yeah, so my LinkedIn URL is going to be LinkedIn, and then it's, I think, /DS Patterson or whatever. But if you look at if you look up David Patterson and SAP, you'll 100% find me. It's super. I'm all over LinkedIn. I'm super easy to find. But that's how you find me.
Sorry, Dave, can you spell your surname, please?
Oh, sure. Patterson is Patterson, and my middle name is Stephen. So David Stephen Patterson.
Okay, and just to let you know, David, in the UK we would pronounce that Stephen, not Stephen, but you guys have got a different way of doing things. Seriously, David, that was absolutely fantastic. We so think alike on so many things. There was so many.
Terry, to be honest with you, and not to interrupt, I got to say, and your training is great as well. So if any of you guys who are listening to this haven't bought in, do buy in, because I've learned great concepts from you that I've applied. So you want to drink water from all sources, right? Yeah. And you have certainly been one of those sources as well.
Thank you very much indeed. That's absolutely fantastic, and thanks for giving it your time, David. Look, this is Terry Edwards, Renegade Recruiter. Until next time, take care, take action, and be relentless.